When we talk about pure strikers in the UFC, those octagon artists who turn every fight into an exhibition of power and technique, one name inevitably emerges from the Antipodes, a name that evokes the quiet strength of a warrior and the lethal elegance of a kickboxing master. He could be considered a phoenix of the UFC world. The perfect mix for war, as fast as a gazelle, but with the impact of a lion's bite, and the cunning to hunt like a black mamba. This name is Carlos Ulberg, who is admired by many for being a man who loves sport and discipline. Today, we are going to relive every strike that took him to the top and understand why he is considered one of the safest bets for the future champion of the 205-pound division. Born on November 17, 1990 in Auckland, New Zealand, Carlos Ulberg grew up in an environment where life was not easy. The son of Samoan immigrants, he learned from a young age that mental fortitude was as important as physical strength. Rugby was his first escape, a sport where his natural athletic powers shone. However, an injury took him away from the fields and brought him closer to a world that had always called to him from the shadows: martial arts. The loss of his best friend in a tragic street incident was the turning point. Carlos decided his life would take a different path, that he would honor his friend by becoming the best version of himself. It was then that he walked through the doors of the famous city kickboxing gym, a place that would feel like his home and his temple. Under the strict but visionary tutelage of Eugene Behrman and legends like Israel Adesanya and Dan Hooker, Carlos found his calling. It was not an easy process. It took years of early mornings, pushing his body and mind to unsuspected limits. His nickname, the Black Knight, was born from this duality. The elegance and respect he shows outside the octagon, contrasted with the dark ferocity he unleashes inside it. His professional journey began far from the UFC spotlight, on the sweaty regional stages of Oceania, where a fighter's true character is forged. His professional debut came in 2018 at the Shuriken MMA Best of the Best event. He faced Linton Pollock, a local veteran known for his toughness. The pressure was immense. It was time to test if the gym work was worth it. The first round was a tactical study, with Ulberg measuring distances with his jab.
An 8-4 record for Puna was against Andrew Diaz fight, so ever seen in the MMA ring. So this is going to be.
But Pollock held firm and landed a couple of shots that made Ulberg look vulnerable.
Getting out of the.
In the second round, class began to shine. Ulberg unleashed his arsenal.
Hard on attack, Puna has to cover up.
Followed by a 1-2 combination that opened a cut above Pollock's eye. Seeing the wound, Ulberg smelled blood. He pressured against the cage and landed a left hook, followed by a right cross that connected cleanly on the jaw, sending Pollock to the canvas and ending the fight by KO at 2:35 of the second round.
How tired, or maybe it's just that he's tired himself, and Puna has to cover up, and he's on the back foot here again, and Ulberg.
His second fight was at King in the Ring MMA against John Martin Fraser. Fraser was an aggressive fighter on a winning streak. Ulberg knew he couldn't get into a wild brawl. The first round was a defensive exhibition by Ulberg, dodging Fraser's powerful swings with head movement that seemed supernatural.
With that range, that John, we don't know. Oh, good. John switches. Violent.
In the second round, Fraser, frustrated, began to lower his guard. Ulberg, with the patience of a predator, threw a high kick that Fraser blocked, but it served as a distraction. Immediately after, he connected a left hook to the liver that made Fraser double over in pain. Ulberg needed no more. One more shot to the head and the referee stopped the fight. Victory by TKO at 1:48 of the second round. The third fight, the most crucial at a local level, was at the Auckland MMA Championships, where he faced Cameron Foki for the light heavyweight title. Foki was the favorite, a veteran with the power to knock anyone out with a single punch. The first round was tactical, both fighters measuring each other.
And avoiding the counter-punching of Carlos.
Moves that lead hand. Counter.
In the second round, Foki connected an uppercut that staggered Ulberg, who had to hold on in the clinch to recover. It was the most difficult moment of his fledgling career. He could have given up, but he held on. By the third round, Ulberg turned the situation around. He used his jab to bloody Foki's nose and weaken him. At 2:15 of the third round, with Foki advancing blindly, Ulberg connected a front kick to the body that took his breath away, followed by a perfect right cross that connected on the jaw, knocking Foki out cold and winning the belt. It was the fight that showed him he had the heart of a champion.
He's picking the shots very well and obviously have a great respect for the talent. Through right to the liver, same as the last fight. He followed it up.
These three decisive victories, all by KO/TKO, were his direct passport to Dana White's Contender Series.
John Arm and Carlos Ulberg here was a day as well.
He is a handsome man. All of the
Shins are going to be so sore tomorrow.
Oh! Brilliant!
And that is a monumental...
Carlos Ulberg's UFC journey began with a roar of ambition and a dose of reality. It was the night of March 6, 2021, at the majestic T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Under the dazzling lights of UFC 259, the Black Knight would face the colossal Kennedy Nzechukwu. From the first instant, Ulberg demonstrated the refined technique from city kickboxing. His jab sounded like a precise whip that found Kennedy's face again and again, while his low kick struck his opponent's thigh muscle with cruel efficiency, limiting his mobility.
Ulberg is in white.
That head kick with that
Front kick appear to get through. That's one of the go-to signatures.
Done that 3 times where he grabs Kennedy.
Kennedy, a 2-meter-tall giant with an indomitable heart, absorbed the punishment like a titan. In the second round, with the crowd going wild from the action, Ulberg threw a left hook that grazed his opponent's ear. It was in that moment of minimal opening that Kennedy counterattacked with a wild uppercut from the shadows, followed by a right cross so powerful its impact resonated throughout the arena. The punch found the exact point on Ulberg's chin, who fell unconscious at 3:19 of the second round. The defeat was a gut punch, a brutal lesson about the UFC hierarchy.
Right hand by Ulberg. Oh, look at that leg slipping around.
Kennedy Nzechukwu has knocked out Carlos Ulberg!
My goodness.
The whole time landed that right hook was nasty.
DC was one of the things that we were saying.
But from the ashes of that night, a phoenix determined to reinvent himself would be born. 6 months later, on February 12, 2022, at the Toyota Center in Houston, Texas, the Black Knight would return for his redemption battle at UFC 271. His opponent was Fabio Cherant, a submission hunter with a dangerous guard. This time, Ulberg showed palpable evolution. His wrestling defense was now impenetrable, executing explosive sprawls every time Cherant sought takedowns. He kept the fight standing where his striking could shine.
Greg Jones. Nice combination there.
Really in control of this fight.
And began punishing Cherant's legs with devastating low kicks that resonated with a dull, cruel sound. By the third round, Cherant was visibly limping, his face marked by precise jabs and cuts around the eyes. Ulberg cornered him against the cage and unleashed a relentless combination, Jab, cross, hook to the body. Uppercut. Tirant, exhausted and with no answers, could only cover up until the sound of the bell. The victory by unanimous decision, 30-27 on all three scorecards, didn't come by knockout. But it was the victory that restored the Black Knight's soul. Redemption was complete. Just 4 months later, on June 25, 2022, at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada, Ulberg would face a terror in the division. Tafon Nchukwi, a knockout artist with several KOs on his record. From the start, Nchukwi advanced with the fury of a bull, throwing overhand rights that whistled through the air. Ulberg, serene and calculating, dodged them with head movement, slips and rolls that seemed choreographed.
Prelim at light heavyweight.
Fight nice and easy. Ulberg's got to be careful, big power shots there.
At 1:15 of the first round, Nchukwi threw a high kick that Ulberg intelligently blocked in the instant counterattack that made his rival scream in agony, followed by a short, brutal left hook that impacted Nchukwi's temple, knocking him out instantly. The Black Knight's power had returned, and with it, a wave of excitement that swept through the MMA world. On November 12, 2022, at the mythical Madison Square Garden in New York, Ulberg faced the tireless Nicolae Negreanu at UFC 281. Negreanu was known for his superhuman stamina and granite chin. The first round was an exhibition of precision. Ulberg used his jab to maintain distance and measure his rival, while dodging aggressive advances with terrifying elegance.
That man is as tough as they come, and if he can get Carlos...
At 3:44 of the first round, Negreanu charged with his head down, looking for the clinch. Ulberg, with the patience of a predator, measured the distance perfectly and launched a right cross that traveled in a straight line to his opponent's chin. The impact was clean and devastating. Negreanu collapsed instantly, knocked out cold.
Like that low tap kick.
The sound of the blow echoed through the garden, and in that moment, Ulberg had announced that his power was world-class. On May 13, 2023, at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Black Knight would measure up against Ihor Potieria, a Ukrainian warrior with an indomitable heart. Potieria tried to impose his volume of punches, but Ulberg was smart and calculating.
Keep blasting that right kick. Grab it. Oh!
That left hand.
At 2:09 of the first round, Ulberg threw a jab feint that fooled Potieria, making him lower his guard for a fraction of a second. Seizing the opening, he connected a left hook that slipped through the defense and impacted the jawbone with a sinister crunch. Potieria fell unconscious from the supernatural speed and precision of Ulberg.
Oh, he hit it with that hook. He's knocked everybody out of the again.
The ultimate test would come on September 9, 2023, at the Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney, Australia. During UFC 293, Da-Woon Young, a South Korean with legendary stamina and an iron chin, stood before Ulberg. The first 2 rounds were a war of attrition. Ulberg landed brutal strikes, crosses that would have knocked anyone else out, and hooks to the liver that drew screams of pain from Young. But he absorbed them and kept moving forward, smiling and bleeding.
Better to just address it right now.
More space to operate through the way
Lower half. Ulberg has now knocked down.
In the third round, with victory in doubt, Young made a critical mistake by going for a desperate takedown. Ulberg defended with authority, took his back with lightning speed, and sunk in a rear naked choke with impeccable technique. At 4 minutes and 49 seconds, Jung, without oxygen and seeing stars, tapped the canvas in submission. For the first time in the UFC, Ulberg won by submission, showing the world he was a complete martial artist.
Jump well. Just shoot on him, make him wrestle. Carlos is doing everything in his power. Just get put that down.
On May 11th, 2024, at the Enterprise Center in St. Louis, Missouri, Ulberg would face his most dangerous opponent yet, Alonzo Menafield, a knockout artist with the power to end fights in seconds. The expectation was a war, but what came was a lightning strike as the bell sounded. Menafield charged like an enraged bull. Ulberg, with glacial coolness, angled out and launched a short, explosive left hook that connected on Menafield's chin. In just 12 seconds, Menafield was knocked out before he hit the floor. The fastest KO of his career, a statement of absolute power.
Bay Motors. Carlos Ulberg is in the black. Menafield.
On November 23, 2024, at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada, Ulberg would face a respected veteran, Volkan Ozdemir, a former title challenger. It was a battle of technique and patience. For 3 rounds, Ulberg used his jab as a control weapon, keeping Ozdemir at the perfect distance while landing body kicks that wore down his breathing. Ozdemir responded with dangerous counterpunches, but Ulberg dodged them with evasive movements. In the end, he landed 98 significant strikes and took the victory by unanimous decision, 30-27 on all 3 scorecards, demonstrating that he could dominate the best with intelligence and precision. His consecration came on March 22, 2025, at the O2 Arena in London, England. Jan Blachowicz, former world champion and living legend, was the biggest opponent of his career. Blachowicz knew every trick, but Ulberg used exceptional footwork to avoid his famous left hand.
Something a lot at the top. Just really taking his time and respect for one another, but gonna go for a shot line. Opening stanza.
Low kicks and jabs made the difference, and although Jan landed dangerous shots, Ulberg maintained his composure.
You can't be upset, right, when you're both moving left and right. There it is. Plus the corner never even mentioned it as well. Oh, that's a today over a former champion. That's a
After 3 rounds of maximum intensity, the judges gave him the victory by unanimous decision, 29-28 times 3. Ulberg had defeated a former champion. He was ready for the top. The next chapter of this epic story is yet to be written. On September 27, 2025, at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Carlos Ulberg will face the dangerous Dominic Reyes, a ghost from the past hungry to reclaim his place among the elite. Reyes, the man who almost defeated John Jones, represents the ultimate challenge. Will Ulberg's power connect on Reyes' chin? Or will Reyes' experience prevail? This fight is not just for a spot in the rankings, it's for the opportunity to fight for the World Championship. And you, what do you think? Subscribe so we can tell you the best about these UFC beasts, and comment, do you think Carlos will manage to come out on top again? Or will this be the start of a bad streak? See you in the next video.